Okay.
Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Ken and Alex, Sunday morning. It is, where's my note here? March 9th. Just a second. Let me pause just a second.
hmm
Yeah, sorry about that. Once again, Ken and Alex, it is March 8th, 2026. Sunday morning coaching. Quick check-in. Uh, Daylight savings time today. And so I thought I had an hour. I thought I was 45 minutes early, but it was 15 minutes late. So that'll just happen sometimes. Um, see, quick check-in. Um, I'm working on a major piece for the Army and for us that turns out to be really darn important. It was the an extension of what I talked about last week, and that is the idea of the 100 maxims
hmm
for successful AI work. Kind of backed it backed into some big ideas on failure mode and effects analysis from engineering that had snuck into that work almost without me noticing it. It was the short story is so I took the last 3 years of my daily work with AI. That was hundreds of thousands of pages of chat uh, chat threads and projects and whatever. And from that, I said, "Hey, what kind of worker have I been with AI? Evaluated as in terms of best practices? Because I'm working on how to onboard new officers and faculty with the use of AI, and I've been using a machinist perspective, and that is how do you onboard a new machinist with AI?" And I remembered back to my days in the machine shop as unskilled labor, and they would give me a new machine to work to make parts for automobiles. And it always started off with saying, "All right, we're going to bring you over to the Pines Bender. It's a great big hydraulic bending machine. You put a piece of steel tubing into it, hit the button, and that thing will rotate to the point where it stops.
hmm
And then it would put a whatever bend in you needed for that piece of pipe. Well, that thing will kill you if you let it. And so uh, we start off saying, well, here's the 10 ways this machine's going to try to kill you if you let it. So don't do any of the following. And it would kind of do all that first. Um,
hmm
like, for instance, you when that arm swings out to bend the pipe and then swings back, if you get between when that thing comes back and the stop, that's 30 tons of pressure, enough to bend steel, and it'll smash you. So you you don't let a monkey walk in there. You put a fence around that so that you can't walk into the place where it'll get you killed or bite your finger off or whatever it's going to do. So we would call that a fault mode. A fault mode is any way a system or a product or just a piece of material. Fault mode is the way that it would fail.
hmm
And then what you do is you assess the consequences of the failure,
hmm
the probability that it will fail, and then the causes of that failure. You multiply all that stuff together, and you come up with a composite risk number, and then you rank the fault modes by the risk number, and you solve the ones that are the most important first, and you just keep working all the way through that. You might have to change your design or change a material or change a condition somewhere. And then what that does is it allows you to eliminate, you start working through all the ways it can fail in a logical way until you're ready to go. Well, what I had asked the machine to do was uh, find me the 100 maxims of best practices. And then I said, when you do that best practice, what problem is it solving? And then I remembered, oh yeah, that's right. That's fault mode analysis. Um, so the 100 maxims won't guarantee that you come up with something great, but what it does is they will prevent you from uh, the 100 most probable ways of failing with the AI. And I asked it to rank order that. It put it into 5 groups. And then, like, the very first one was the most important lesson of all, and that is that you are the commander, the AI is the staff, that you are always responsible for the process, the decisions, the consequences. You own that all the time. Even if you forget it, the world will remind you that you're responsible. So don't ever lose sight of that. Well, if you have that maxim, you are the commander, it is the staff, you can then it then said here's language that you can use in your prompt in order to make that relationship explicit.
Mhm.
Um, and so on all the way through the 100. And it turned out to be a pretty nice piece of work. Uh, so what I have it working on now is to turn that into onboarding practicums. How would you train a guy to think in that way? Well, the first the first step on that is you say, here's the situation. I'm trying to do the following job. And I've given that job to my lieutenant, some new kid. And you say, before you run that, I want to bring in your prompt so I can inspect it, right? And so the kid brings in 4 prompts. He's not sure which one is right. He said, and the 4 prompts are organized so that one is unsatisfactory, one is marginal, one is satisfactory, and one is excellent. And your job is to uh, rank order those, going from worst to best.
Mhm.
Uh, well, when you do that, the right way to do that to train a machinist is you make the excellent one so obviously excellent compared to the other 3 that it's like a layup in basketball. It's like, oh, that one is obviously the most excellent. And then the worst one is obviously unsatisfactory. So you get your 2 endpoints. And then the difference, so if that was like an A, B, C, and D, you make A and D very, very clear. And then the difference between B and C illustrates something about that point. It's as if the D answer, nothing about that was any good. And then the C answer, there was one thing that was okay, but the rest of it is crap. And then the B answer, maybe 2 things are better, but then the A answer is obviously correct. And then you move on to maxim number 2, and then you do whatever that is. And then maxim number 3. Well, after you go through that enough, you start conditioning that guy to expect to see a lot of bad prompts, a lot of bad things, but a judgment that allows him to rank order why is this better than that? And what it says is, look, I don't expect you to be perfect, but I expect you to be able to tell the difference between good and better, or between better and best. So that's volume 1. There's 100 story problems and each one is labeled with the maxim that it's going to solve. Volume number two is you don't tell it what maxim it is representing. It just gives you a situation. It gives you uh, the four prompts, and then you have to look at it and see again A, B, C, or D. Which one's best? Which is worse?
Mhm.
And then for the second part of that is you get extra credit if you can tell it which maxim it is representing or which failure mode is being tested. And even if you don't get the extra credit and figure out which maxim, you're at least you get credit because you picked out excellent from the pack. You ordered it correctly. So volume one, you tell them what the maxim is and then give them the four. Volume two, you don't tell them the maxim, you just show them situation in the four. They have to rank order it and guess which maxim. And then the third volume of that is 100 case studies where I just tell you what the job is and you have to write the prompt. And then we judge the prompt against four standards and say, yeah, your prompt looks like A, B, C, or D. And here's the reason why. And the answer key on that one shows a school solution of excellence. And then it evaluates your prompt. And then it gives you reasons why it thinks it's an A, B, C, or D. Um, so those are the three volumes about how to onboard a thing. So then let's say you did that. And you say, wow, that's now I know something about prompting. I know right when I see it. I know the difference between right and wrong. Um, and when it comes to being an engineer or a decision maker, that's kind of what we really want is we want to be able to say what's better, not necessarily, hey, what's perfect. And my blinding flash of the obvious a couple days ago was wow, we've been teaching the wrong way. We've been trying to teach guys in the Army for planning how to do it perfectly. And then they try to follow a process, and we say the process is important, and then they follow the process. But at the end of that, they don't know, hey, is this thing that my process produced, is it actually any good? Well, the faculty judge that and then give them feedback and they get their grade. What we should have been doing was recognizing that all of the work that the kid does for planning uh, is preparing them, to fly solo. So what they're doing is they're working on practice problems and they're looking at their output, and then they're going to come to class to talk about it. But they don't know if that thing is good until a faculty member tells them it's good. So they haven't internalized the judgment of the faculty yet. So what we're actually trying to do is create faculty judgment inside the student right from the beginning. And the way that you do that is to give them hundreds of opportunities to judge and then judge their judgment. And through experience, they start learning how to check for quality. And when they start working in small groups, what you really want them to do is to come up with their collaborative best work and then say, hey, does this meet the standard? And they say, well, what's the standard? What's the rubric? What's my gauge? How do I compare this to um, a measurement device to see if on what scale? So what I'm going to be trying to do is turn this into a change in the way that we teach military planning, and it correlates just to what I've been trying to do here, which is develop the coaching eye. That instead of waiting for me to tell you what right looks like, I'm trying to teach you guys to look at your trading, compare it to a standard,
Mhm.
compare it to the system that you set up and the rules that you set up and say, did I follow my own rules? Yes or no. Was the trade any good? Yes or no. And then from that, you develop data that says, hey, not only can I follow my own rules, I can also create good enough rules. So that's the second part. A system that I design that I can follow and it produces good results over time and gets better and learns from the process so that each trade not only is a trade, but it's also a learning case study going forward. So that's why we study them after the fact, not just to see did I comply with the rules, but now I can start looking at other things that I didn't see. Like, oh, I noticed this. That wasn't even part of my rule set. I wonder if there's some gold in that mine. Yeah. So, in conclusion, these 100 maxims about how to use AI, well, that's really going to be the same thing about the trading. What are the 100 best practices? And I can use AI to find all of those maxims for trading, not just for how to use AI. In fact, I one of them will be how do I use AI to improve my trading? It's to do what I just said, is to go through the I've already programmed that into the um, to the AI agent in the 5 frames. So Notebook allows you 5,000 characters, or no, I guess it's 10,000, 5,000, 5,000 or 10,000 characters to establish the specific persona that you want the AI to employ in each notebook that you create. So what I did then was I said after I went through I had it write the 3 volumes of the for the AI on Friday and yesterday, and then I said, all right, now give me a persona and an agent that has internalized all of that and will watch every prompt that I'm working on, or better yet, it'll just ask me questions like in Pen 3. Hey, what are you trying to do? What's the standard? Who is it for? What does right look like? And then it works with you to build the prompt that's always going to be excellent. So you don't even have to remember how to do things right. All you got to remember is and articulate clearly, what am I trying to do with this piece of work? What's the purpose? What's the outcome that I'm trying to achieve? And then it will help you by writing the prompt, and it automatically is going to be guided by those 100 maxims of how not to cut your own hand off. Uh, so I needed to have that kind of judgment created for the volume 3 so it could evaluate prompts anyway. And then I just connected it to the Pen 3.0 prompt, which is the one that I use to guide my own prompt writing. And now we have a glide path that takes you from um, learning what the maxims are all the way through to a intelligent agent that helps you apply them in practice. Now, a person would say, um, well, why do you go through the pain and suffering of creating the maxims? Well, if you have that tool, you can just use that tool. I said, that's right. But if you do that, you'll you'll just be a tool user. If you want to be a system architect, a tool maker, a process manager, you need to understand the basics of arithmetic before I just give you a calculator, so that you know if the calculator is wrong, or you can create a better calculator. But that's a legitimate point. Yeah, you can. There's nothing wrong with being a tool user. Like if I'm driving a car, I don't actually need to know how the engine's working. I just need to know how to drive it safely on a road with other monkeys driving cars. Well, that's what the maxims do. Stay between the lines, don't go off the road, stop at a red light, right turn on red. Remember, half of the people that are on the road are below average, and a quarter of them are drunk. And some of the ones that are drunk are above average. So the guys that are really bad, they're really bad, and they're going to try and kill you if you're not paying attention to what the other drivers are doing. The chances of you getting killed in a car are non-zero. But the reason that you get killed in the car is not because you made a mistake, but because one of the other million drivers made a mistake and happened to be near you, and that kills you. So when we're using the AI, that's an important thing. Hey, here's the other reason. You're going to be supervising other people who are working for you, or you're going to receive a piece of work from somebody, or they're going to tell you something, and you don't know how they got it, and you're going to try to judge what they did on the basis of quality. Guy walks in, Lieutenant walks in with a research report, says, "Hey, here's what I here's that report that you asked for, sir." And I'll say, "Well, show me the prompt that you used to get that, because the AI is going to write something that is persuasive. Should I believe it? You know, well, let me see what prompt you used in order to get that, to tell me if there's any hidden flaws in what you did. Or I can write a prompt to evaluate what you did to see if what you did was any good. It's almost easier to inspect the prompt to see if it violated any of the maxims, um, and then inspect the larger work itself. If you monitor the process and then or inspect the process and then inspect the output, you have twice as many chances to discover the hidden flaw. All of that makes sense if what you're trying to do is trade like a machine, an intelligent, adaptive machine with rules. If you can come up with good rules and then have the discipline to follow them, you have such a competitive advantage in the world of trading that your future looks good, because just the ability to follow your own rules is an amazing advantage over most of the people that trade. And then the ability to develop good rules and make them better through experience is also an advantage. And so that now, in conclusion, this model of thinking helps you become a system architect, a tool maker, tool designer, and a good trader who combines the best of um, rules-based trading and discretionary-based trading. Because what that does is it allows you to say, look, I'm following the rules. The rules tell me to do this thing. I'm going to use my judgment and wisdom and experience to change the rule on the fly. My advice on all that is always in the error, in the direction of being safer, less risky, and like time, will, pattern, and money. You know, uh, even though the system says you can trade this thing, where you use your judgment is to act to be safer, trade smaller, or not trade, as opposed to taking shortcuts with a machine that'll kill you if you're not careful. So I say all that just to say the the 5 frames AI already has that uh, persona loaded up. Um, it has the 100 maxims on how to use AI correctly. I have it working on digesting the literally thousands of hours of coaching that we've done with everybody. And I have written some materials on best practices and errors to avoid. But I'm going to have it now that I'm done with the AI model. I can just say, now take the same set of prompts and the mentality that helped us create the 100 maxims of AI to explicitly do the 100 maxims of trading according to our methods and build out the same kind of expertise. And then train the AI to look at those, to look at the work that you do. And that becomes the intelligent agent that engages with you in dialogue all the time. So you're not just waiting for me to do that, but we're building intelligence into the AI assistant and those two different levels. So that's that's my check-in. That's what I did this week. And when I was at the soccer game last night, we went and had um uh, a all you can eat Chinese buffet, and man, it was so good, Lord. And then it's right next to the stadium, and we walked over the stadium and had 90 minutes before kickoff. So the kids were monkeying around, and Linda was monkeying around. I was getting my steps in to walk off the dinner, and I was listening to the all of the YouTube videos I could find on failure mode and effects analysis, and everything that it brought up to include certification courses reminded me, yeah, that the AI and I did that right when we were creating the product for how to use AI correctly, and then how to apply that to our trading. So that turned out to be a nice day at the soccer park, and worked on it last night till about 2. I said I better get some sleep. We got coaching in the morning, and then didn't realize that uh, daylight savings time. So I thought I thought I was 45 minutes early. I was 15 minutes late. So that's a failure mode, and I know how to fix that. The way I fixed it was Linda said, "Hey, dummy, I woke you up. You were supposed to start 15 minutes ago." I thought, "Oh, daylight savings time. I get it." She woke me up and I didn't hear what time it was. She just woke me up. So anyway, that's kind of where we are for my check-in, um, and I felt it was important enough to go ahead and talk you through it. So let me shift it over to you, and let's see how you're doing. What are you working on? What do we got? What can we do?
Okay, Ken, first, thank you very much for the explanation. I saw your 100 maxims, but I uh, didn't know where they came from and
Yeah,
how to apply them. So this brings the, for me, important background to understand
yeah,
the context.
yeah, yeah.
So I appreciate that. And if I understood you correctly, you planning to use the same approach to build their maxim for investments.
Yeah, in fact,
Things not to do.
have already done it. A lot of the things that I've been writing
Hmm.
and been putting into the AI
Hmm.
have come from exactly that same approach.
Hmm. Okay.
But not, I didn't say it explicitly as the 100 maxims of trading. It was just I was looking at best practices for this, or what are the qualities of a good trader? What are the errors that people commonly make?
Mhm.
But I didn't have it in the explicit language of the 100 maxims of trading in the same way that I did the 100 maxims of AI. But I have the machine working on right now is to make that formally parallel, to do exactly the same
Mhm.
model. The thing with the I literally looked at about 4,000 man hours over the last 3 years of just learning how to use AI. And so I had it produce the maxims by examining those hundreds of thousands of pages of AI chat transcripts from my own work with the Army, plus deep research onto best practices from
Mhm.
experts in the world about how to do prompt engineering correctly. So you take all of that, how to do it correctly, and then compare it to my hundreds hundreds of thousands of pages of work and hundreds of case studies and say how does my work stand up in comparison to the best practices that are out there in the world, and then using those two bodies of knowledge come up with 100 maxims and rules for the road, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Well, that's what I've been doing with the trading as well, by dumping in all of our coaching sessions, all of my lectures, all of my systems rules, the results of all of the research that I've been doing on from trading psychologists and from trading masters, and digesting all of their wisdom too, and then comparing my work against their work, against our coaching. So that's what's been producing uh, the insights that come out of the AI assistant. But to make that a formal project, I have it working on the 100 maxims of trading to explicitly follow the same kind
Mhm.
of path. And oh, by the way, I can make that direct by saying, take each of the 100 maxims of AI use and make it explicitly connected about trading. So it's not just how to use AI well,
Mhm.
how to follow this maxim when using AI. It also says how to use this maxim when using AI to improve trading. And then I can also say, translate that maxim directly into trading language, whether I'm using AI or not. So it acts as a couple layers of systematic analysis.
Mhm.
Because with the way we're using the AI is simply as a machine tool or a
Mhm.
robot assistant to watch how we're trading. So I'm looking at the way we're trading, but I'm also looking at the way we're using AI to look at our trading and using AI to look at the trading. So there's reinforcing
Mhm.
dimensions on that that are pretty darn powerful. So yeah, that's so all of that is already in the AI assistant
Mhm.
in the five frames notebook
Mhm.
on Notebook LM.
Mhm. Okay. Okay.
And
Great.
I programmed the personality explicitly to follow the rules uh, of the AI. I gave it the best of both worlds. I took the My Sage Advisor, which is my general purpose AI assistant, and the
Mhm.
Pen 3 prompt engineering navigator, plus the personality for the machines, the machinist uh, supervisor. All of that is now in the primary
Mhm.
um, persona of the AI, and that's the 24/7 advisor that we have.
Mhm.
So there are.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I have, I guess, more. I wanted to say I started to use the notebook alarm that
Yeah,
you provided to, for the answers,
yeah,
and it's great, but I didn't know, how much depth
yeah.
it,
It's like,
it
why
has
should
in there.
this is just some guy on the street said
Mhm.
telling me about trading? Why should I pay attention to it?
Mhm.
That would be the reason to pay attention to it, because of when you
Mhm.
open up the hood and look underneath, you
Mhm.
say, "Oh, okay,
Mhm.
that's what that thing is doing." Yeah,
Okay, thank you. Then
yep,
I you know about. I'd say I read about the My Sage Advisor, but you put in a context of what it actually is.
yeah, yeah,
That it's general purpose AI assistant as opposed to Pen 3, which is a prompt,
Yeah.
prompt navigator.
Yeah, it's a tool that helps you with it. But
Mhm,
now this other thing really um, expands
mhm,
the view. Well, we're talking about Pen 3 as a tool
mhm,
that I use in a workshop, and that workshop is in a giant factory that's
mhm,
making trading systems, and so it's a comprehensive system architect that we're
mhm,
thinking now like a factory owner and a factory supervisor, uh,
mhm,
and a systems engineer. So that, yeah, not just a
mhm,
tool using monkey, which is not to disrespect the monkey, but you know, the monkey is that human element of our trader. The guy that we're trying to help is the poor little monkey, and they're trying to follow our own rules. Time, will, pattern, and money. It's the monkey driving that.
mhm.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
All righty, back over to
yeah,
you.
yeah. Thank you. No. So what I was doing is, if you remember, I have primarily two buckets. I have a conservative
Yep,
system, and I have a trading system.
yep,
And for conservative system, I'm trying to formalize the rules that I've been using it, and bring some statistical um, you know not a background, but
yep,
statistical
yep,
analysis of what I'm actually doing for.
yep,
So that's I'm asking some questions to Notebook LM, but now I understand that I can ask way more than just a
yeah,
being a question and answer
yeah,
machine. Um, for their For the trading one, uh, it's a little bit too early for the statistical analysis, because there is just so many trades over there.
yeah,
And my primary work is to reduce the number of stocks that I'm trading, following your advice earlier.
yep,
The market did help, that last week.
yeah.
It was,
Yeah,
you
this
know,
is a pretty good time to be really working hard on risk management and deciding when to trade in which direction. No doubt about that. These are challenging and interesting times.
Yeah, yeah. Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Hamad.
Am I late?
Uh, Now we had a daytime savings time today, so
Oh, oh, yeah,
US
you
is
guys did
Yeah.
that
one
again.
hour.
Well,
Oh,
Alex was here at 7. I was here at 7:15. I just spent 45 minutes explaining why I thought I was 45 minutes early when I was 15 minutes late. And we've been talking about the 100 maxims
yeah.
of AI use and why that's directly connected to the 100 maxims of trading,
Mm,
and the persona that is used to create the prompt is now analyzing our trades, and that persona is now updated in the notebook LM to always act as a machinist supervisor, and and can train you to use AI properly, train you to follow your own rules properly, and then teach you how to be a system designer and a system architect, and not just a tool using monkey.
mm.
So, um, pretty amazing stuff. So the opening 40 minutes of this was a discussion of how you get how
Yeah, I think that's all I have. Yeah, I don't intend to change anything, so I will
yeah,
just continue with
emerging
this and
dragon
it's good.
and
Same
to the long side,
pattern.
that's good. Let me check. And collapsing dragon's pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
we should be that would be one I think we should, given the volatility of the market, I would expect that to be better. That looks to me like an area of opportunity to improve, because when
Mm.
when collapses are occurring, they are even more pronounced when you have this kind of bearish qualities in certain symbols. On the other hand, there's things like Palantir, which has been thriving in a world at war, and it has recovered. And a number of the the drone makers and the AI companies, while volatile, have also been directionally correct at times. Not as consistently up as Palantir, but they've been tradable intraday for sure. And so it feels like the current market is one that really favors the intraday adaptive follow the price. Has not been as beneficial on swing trading, except to the downside. But even so, I'm although I am willing to do that swing trade, because like in my TSP, I cannot day trade, but I can actually slow swing and slow position trading. So that means that I'm holding overnight positions, intending to hold it for a month in energy, commodities, precious metals, um, and not just in cash. So that's my feel for the kind of market there. So the way you're trading with this is primarily an intraday system. Um, we're in really good shape here. Okay. Any questions for me?
No, so far no.
Yeah. So just to update you, catch you up with the other guys, the AI tool in the 5 frames notebook is now, I think, is improved as a guide that is prepared to talk about failure mode analysis and to approach our questions from that perspective. So I think it's been a very good tool. I think it's on the verge or is already an excellent tool, industrial strength tool right now. I will just tell you, it's such a good tool that I'm opening another line of business. I sort of wrote about it last night on the Patreon. I just said, look, all you guys that are out there that are reading this and looking at a world of AI, you should be using the same principles for all the work that you do and for teaching your children and your grandchildren how to use AI in the modern world, not just for trading, but in the world. If you're going to be making judgments and decisions, you should be bringing this same kind of quality control process to evaluate what AI is telling you, whether it's AI that you're using yourself or if you're consuming products from other advisors that are using AI to produce that that advice. Like it should be your independent quality control inspector for anything that you're making a decision on. In my opinion, we're calling that in the military college, we're calling that the AI first curriculum, and that is how do we teach the guys intentionally from day one how to use AI properly in the context of our trading. And here's the reason why we're doing that. We've created AI agents and processes that are bulletproof, we think. When you work with an AI advisor that is maximal proficient on your own thinking process, it makes you a better planner because you're working with a guy that always follows the rules, is always doctrinally correct, is always using the correct language, and is inspecting all of your blind spots from multiple points of view. When you work with that every day, you just get better. In the same way that if you look at the 5 people that you spend most of your time with in your life, you are an average of those 5, you know? Um, if AI is one of those, it raises your bar on how to think and how to be a critical thinker and all that stuff. So I'm going to make that a second line of business, because I help a lot of people besides just traders. But I'm going to 100% use this same model of intentional, designed, engineered excellence for that to help other people with their own. And I'm just going to take the code that I'm using for 5 frames, and they can use 5 frames and the advisor already, because it'll give them advice about other things. Like you could ask the 5 frames guy about things that are not even related to trading. It's going to give you pretty good advice, by the way. Just a little word to the wise there. But I'm going to help guys set up their own brains and to run on the side too. It'll give my son something to work on. That's how important I think that is. That's an unintended consequence of learning to use AI. I had very personal, specific reasons for the last 3 years to do that. And it was really to help improve my own trading and my own thinking and my own writing and my own teaching in every dimension, and then apply it to trading and then apply it to military planning and all that. So that's where we are. So uh, you should notice improvements for 2 reasons. Number one, it's better. And number two, I just asked you to start noticing what it's doing. So the fact that you're looking at it critically should make it more useful to you, because you're paying more attention to the tool that you're using. And that's going to automatically make your work better. And because I keep updating that with every session that we do in here, any insights that we have get loaded up into that as raw material. So it's improving every day, in fact, in my opinion. Anyway, there we are. Appreciate you. Good to see you. Glad you're safe and sound. It helps me to sleep easier at night knowing that you're doing good. All right. Hamad, let's shift over to, or let me say, hey, Alex, let's finish up our thoughts together, just to make sure.
No, I'm good. I'm just wanted to
Yeah.
to say that, following your advice, I'm compressing a number of stocks. So for the gold stocks now I have, instead of 30 positions, small positions, I have 10 positions in the best ones. So I'm, working.
I think that's the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I try to, I would like you to think about it as a core and turbo for the target selection. In the same way that we think about position sizing on a symbol, we could have a swing trade in the core and then an intraday turbo. What you're doing is using the core and turbo principles in your target selection. So the core relates to the sector. Hey, right now gold is better than anything except possibly energy. So being in gold and energy is a core position. And then the turbo is to select the best individual target within that family of targets. And then the technique that you apply to trading that improved target and sector is also core and turbo. So what that means is, as a system architect, that the concept of core and turbo, because as it relates to risk management, target selection, and position sizing, is a principle, is a top level principle. It's not just how to trade an individual symbol. It's also how to pick the sector and target and then bring core. So core and turbo is a fractal idea, not just for trading, but for target selection. that leads to position sizing. So I've never said it that way before. So what I'm going to do to check the AI right now is after I load this up into the AI, into the notebook, the transcript of this session, I will ask it a innocent question to explain what we mean by core and turbo being fractal. If it is accurate, it will find the last 200 words that I just said from among the 350 million words that are in its reference file. And I can tell you right now, with 99.5% confidence, it'll find it, because it always does. If you ask it the right questions. Anyway, there we are. Okay, over to you, Hamad.
Hi. Yeah. This is probably the second time since we started working together that I may have scored better numbers than Chi Wang, except for March.
Well, that's what I noticed that you just couldn't wait to start talking. So that's the kind of healthy
Not that I'm
competition.
trying to compete or anything, but it's
That's the
it's
healthy
been
competition between brothers. That's what we want to see.
I mean, I'm very happy for Chi Wang and I wish him all the best. Like honestly, like since day one, So I'm
But
not really
I
not
want to beat him.
compete, and I have no ill will,
Yeah, but I also want to beat him.
Yeah. So I've gotten to 80 trades in 2026.
Yeah.
Under my system.
Yep.
Pretty so when he
Almost
was
3-2.
presenting
Almost 3-2.
yeah, it's like this is on a trade by trade basis.
Yeah, and almost 2-1. Yep.
Yeah.
And for
and
rounded off to 3-2 times 2-1.
Yeah. And then in terms of daily, I mean, I've netted 24-hour since the start of the year.
Yeah.
My average daily is 0.9.
That's what we want to see. There we are.
My expectancy is 0.3,
Yeah.
30%. Win rate is 61%. Again, I'm liking this where the coin flip and the dollar.
Hey, what we talked about last week, your little real estate buddy.
Yeah.
You say, hey, how's your last week been? You know what I mean? How you doing this year? Don't be a smartass about it, but
I've got a plan for him. But
good.
This plan is a bit longer term. So
you gotta bait the hook just right. You gotta make sure that your fishing rod and line is correct, and that your boat is stable, because you're hunting a whale.
Yeah. No, and I know how to hunt him.
I know how I would ask him. I would just show him this chart and wait for him to say something. What I would tell him, what I would do is tell him, look, I'm checking your ability to think critically, mister. When I show you this chart, if you understand what it says, then I expect you to say something. So based on your reaction to this chart will tell me if you really understand trading.
Yeah, not well.
Yeah.
It's a very different line of business than anything else. That's what I realized when it comes to trading. You can be very successful in any other business. When it comes to trading, you're a donkey if you're not a trader.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So yeah, this is what I've been. Last week was pretty quiet. Not much happening for me. The futures were really quiet. I mean, the thing that I'm really happy about last week is this day where I was down. I made 1.9, 1.8, and that was $600. But then I lost 1.9 the next day, and that was just under $300.
Boy, that's so important.
Yeah.
You want to. That's, by the way, when I used to go back and forth with Tharp on this all the time.
Yeah.
Because he says, I think you exit too often and then re-enter. And he says, you got to learn to let your winners run. I said, Van, take a look at the win rate and the payoff, independent of time. When the average win is bigger than the average loss, by definition, we're letting the winners run to the extent that they can. When they're done running, you stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you
Um,
stop winning, you're not a winner anymore on that trade. And that's so the exit is 10 times as important as the entry.
yeah. And in all the experimentation that I've done in all the experiments that I've run the last 3 years, getting a high win rate and a high payoff ratio is a factor of exiting aggressively.
Yeah.
Like you got to take your money out of the table when it's time, you know?
Yep.
Um, and this kind of pushes your averages to the
You
right?
gotta
Which kind
bring
of,
home the bacon. You gotta feed the
yeah.
bulldog. You gotta keep the wolf outside your door.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, March is quiet, so I'm going between I'm running two. I'm collecting data in two phases. First
Yeah.
is my first 100 trades of the year, and then second
Yeah.
100 trades, and then third 100 trades.
Yeah. The
And then I want
batches.
to do it bi-monthly as well, since my trade, like the number of trades I generate per month is quite low. Um,
Yeah.
it's a maximum of three to four trades a day,
Yeah, we did that with
Look,
Luke Crockford a couple years ago, was we were looking at buckets.
yeah.
And then not just the continuous line, but also was there a statistical difference between each uh individual set of 100? That
Mhm.
was that turned out to be important.
One thing that I really appreciate about how things are working is I can see consistency already. I mean, yeah, March is only 17 trades,
Yeah.
but the numbers are not far off what I've seen everywhere else, in terms of how the machine
Yeah.
operates
Yeah. What
from
it
an R
does is
graph.
it gives you, if you have, we call that an azimuth check, which is what's the, what angle, and compared to true north, what's in the magnetic compass, what's the direction of movement? What's the azimuth I'm traveling on? And I look at that as the slope of the line. So if
hmm
you may notice in my signature blocks on emails lately, I've added y equals mx plus b, which is the slope of the line. And we're looking
hmm
for m. What is the
Yeah.
m? So up and
Always.
to the right. That's what we want. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, equity curve wise, I mean, equity curve wise, things are smooth.
You know.
So yeah, from a trading perspective, like it's business as usual.
Hey,
My only
let me ask permission to share today's session
Oh,
wider,
please. Oh yeah.
if I may. I just think this is going to help people.
Yeah. And like a market, I don't see the. So let me bring this up. Oh, sorry, I gotta bring up my
You know
journal.
what I almost want to put on your chart
Yeah.
is to show the red line of the S&P.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And here's why I
Yeah.
say that. I've about 6 months ago I started adding that to my TC 2000 screen. So when
hmm
I'm looking at a symbol and I'm watching what its price is doing, I'm watching the trading pieces. By having the S&P relative performance on there, it can show me which side of the market I'm on and what the market's doing. So it's sort of like, hey, the market is grinding up and to the right, but this thing is, I can see where this thing, it was an SSC and it was underperforming the market, and this is where it crossed. And then if I'm in that and I'm long, I should see a widening gap between the performance of its price and the S&P. And that's telling me that there's alpha in that symbol and I'm directionally correct.
Yeah.
So if you now, that's where a third use of core and turbo is. If you say that the S&P and that is the core, then my performance of my system is the turbo. So in the same way that you're comparing our multiple captures to dollars captured, you want to show that now compared to the S&P buy and hold system,
Yeah.
are you adding value?
Yeah.
So
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
I think there's some way we can add that to the control chart
Yeah.
for instant awareness, because what you would see is for the last 2 weeks, the red line of the S&P is down and accelerating, and
Yes.
your system is up and accelerating, or at least a steady state. The fact that you're
Yeah.
able to achieve a steady state while the market is accelerating to the downside should be interpreted in the following way: that you have a calibrated amount of money that you want to pull out of that thing, regardless of what it's doing. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the other side of that, though, is to say when the market is accelerating its force in one direction, I may need to look at how can I take more advantage of the bigger adverse moves to get a bigger bucket or more. There's some I hate to say it this way for what the impact on you, but what that's saying is that there's more fish in the sea for us to catch while the
Yes.
while it's running. So
Yes.
we need to be very cautious with that insight and where it leads us to, because
Yeah.
that's the same kind of time when the elephants are thundering, it can turn on you. So we got
Yeah.
to be mindful of that. So that's what I would say. Let's figure out how to add the sort of the daily S&P performance in there. If the S&P had, where I think it's best is when you do the aggregate daily chart that you can do with symbol SPY. You can
Mhm.
make that the daily net performance
Yeah.
is its R capture for the day. And then you could run the same thing side by side, like the last 30 days. How many days of the last 30 has the market been positive? What was the average winner, average loss? So you make what's the coin flip and payoff of the market for the last 30 days compared to my daily coin flip and payoff. And that's your alpha.
Yeah.
That's your alpha stat. And
Yeah.
you want to draw those two, you want to draw the time series of that. That's that's the next piece.
This fits in really
That's
nicely.
actually really
This idea
important.
fits. I'm gonna be working on this week because this idea fits in really nicely with what I think I'm going to.
Yeah.
Um, and it's part of this is part of this discussion, but I'll get to that later.
Yep.
So in terms of system performance, I like looking at this chart. So this line represents kind of everything after this line is 2026 data.
Phase
This
two.
is a bit of yeah. This is just a bit of 25 data just to populate the chart, right? And give me
Yep.
a perspective of where the system is.
Yep.
So it's I mean,
And that's the R
I guess the last
multiple. That's the rolling 30
yeah,
trade.
yeah, 10, 30, and 90.
Okay. Yep. Got it.
The way the 10 is holding up, I'm very happy with that. Yeah, I mean it's only like I want to say one major mistake towards the end of February, which is trading on Friday,
Yeah.
27th.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
yeah. I lost money there, so it's fine. Not worried about it. And then the second one was, and this is a mistake that it can be I could repeat sometimes, which is the system would be cold, and I'd be trading,
Hot.
neutral size.
Yep.
This is it's happened once in February. It's happened once in March. If it happens again, then I have a psychological treatment for this one,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of
Impatience.
going through my emotional questions and making sure that things.
Impatience and pride. Remember
Yeah,
the sage, the of the seven deadly sins, pride is the first and most
yeah,
dangerous one.
overconfidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's even more than that.
yeah,
Pride is
yeah,
even there. And what Aristotle would say is on the spectrum that judgment is in the middle, confidence is in the middle. There's overconfidence, and then there's pride, even further.
mm,
On the left
mm,
hand side, it's unconfidence or fear or self-doubt. Another one is maybe timidity. The middle one
Yeah.
is skepticism and confidence in the centerpiece, and then overconfidence, then pride.
Yeah.
That's like pride is a 2 sigma, negative 2 sigma.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Combination of skepticism and appropriate level of confidence is
Yeah.
that is a stance, a going in stance of skepticism, and then a posture of justified confidence based on evidence in the
Yeah.
current moment. So one of them is your going in position, the second one is your result. So you want to be skeptical and properly confident. That means you understand based on data.
Yeah. Yeah.
Overconfidence, overconfidence, you've started to be less skeptical and you're optimistic.
Yeah.
That's danger because you're not in the zero state. And then you believe more, you're acting as if you should be more confident in the system than is justified by the stats. That's overconfidence, too much confidence beyond the region of fit.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the difference between a justified statistical confidence and putting too much confidence. And then pride has to do with now identity has entered the room as well. Now ego has entered. So that's why it's a double bad.
Yeah.
So combination of going in position. Now, if you go to the left-hand side, instead of being skeptical, I become cynical, meaning that I failed so many times that I don't even believe it when I see it when I do it right.
Yeah.
Because I just think that's just, oh, that was just its way of trying to capture me. So I'm not even going to believe in it. I'm not even going to look at the data. I'm going to trust my feelings and my long term beliefs. And I don't believe in the possibility of improvement in myself or in my systems. That's cynicism.
Yeah.
That is as pernicious and dangerous as pride because it's like to whom much has been
Debilitates you,
given,
right?
much yeah. It's been you've been
It
given a
handed out
gift,
to you. You can't do anything.
right? It's like the problem. It's like the parable in the Bible of parable of the talents. The guy was given the talent, which is that big bundle of capital, and he didn't do anything with it. I think in the parable, if I remember, the guy who got one talent and then put it to work did really well. The other guy got 10 talents and squandered all of them. You know, it's like you get two brothers. One of them gets 10 talents and takes it out and squanders three of them, and he comes back with 7 talents. And the younger brother goes out with, he was given one talent and comes back with 3 talents. And then the older brother says, well, I'm still better than you. I got 7, you got 3. But the father looks at that and says, I gave you 10 and you lost 3. I gave him 1 and he gained 2.
Hmm.
So which one is directionally correct? You know, it's y equals mx plus b. What is the slope of the performance line? Now, what's interesting to me is the definition of the word talent. You know, it means something in English, not just it's it was used in that book as the as a unit of currency, a unit of money.
Yeah.
But it really is much more. It's the larger metaphorical description of talent is capacity, capability, potential, has a much larger impact on what it really means to have talent. The narrow reading of it is I have a talent, I have a bank account.
Mhm.
I have talent in terms of capacity and capability and gifts is different. Um, that was there's some important ideas in there. That's exactly, by the way, the central story of you and your buddy.
Yeah.
Because what we're looking at is the performance curve under all seasons,
Yeah.
and he's somewhere else. He's
Yeah.
his the I don't want to I'm not going to accuse him or judge him of pride, but if he were suffering from the sin of pride, then it would sound like what he's saying.
Yeah.
A person who has excessive pride or has pride sounds like would use the same words that he's using.
Mm.
I'm not going to be his judge.
Yeah.
But if I were judging my own language, that's what I would be self-judging. Anyway,
Mm.
I didn't mean to diverge.
No, no, good. Oh, like I'm not bothered by it, man. I'm not
Yeah,
bothered by it.
yeah.
So the next thing that I'm kind of working on is, and this is in its infancy. It's part of Jared's work, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to rate my C, B, and A game,
Yeah.
and the technical challenges associated with those.
I love the color combination, by the way.
The
Yeah, the brand colors
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
has because it has an engineering feel to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this for me is work in progress. Again,
Is that
I wanna
Jared's language or frame of
yeah
reference, CBA? Yeah.
no, this
Yeah.
is this is my language.
Oh, okay.
It's his
I
template
mean
though.
the A, B, and C game, is that his language?
Yeah, that is his game. That
Okay.
that is language. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Because he comes from he started with athletic performance, if I remember.
golf, right?
Yeah.
Golf and then poker.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm working on improving this so that I can kind of rate myself on the day based on objective measures. Um, for instance, there was one day where I should have made more money or whatever it is, but I was distracted. I was on WhatsApp. I was, news, Instagram, what's happening, sort of a thing, right? So that immediately was like, oh, that's something that needs to sit in my C game, right?
Yeah.
Because that's something I want to completely kill, not kill off, but I want to be aware of it when it happens. Um, you know, just so I can either so I can take a corrective action. So I'm working on this and this is I think I should be able to finish it within a week and then have this as a template that I can use. And
Yeah.
the idea is to
Oh,
improve
by
this
the way,
site
here's let
and
me
then
just interrupt for a minute. I hate when I interrupt, but not
no,
enough
it's all
to
good.
stop.
Still learning.
I don't hate it enough to not do it, but I just so it's not
I'm
technically.
here to get coached.
Yeah. There's
I'm not here to speak.
the whole thing on the 100 maxims
Yeah.
and the how to onboard Army officers to and faculty to use AI is based on teaching them. If I give you 4 different prompts to perform a task, you should be able to distinguish between unsatisfactory, marginal, satisfactory, and excellent. So I'm training them to instantly recognize the best prompt out of the 4 and then to determine if it's excellent. It turns out if you believe in continuous improvement, as long as you're choosing the best one available and studying how to improve it, you're moving up and to the right towards excellence anyway. Even if there was not an excellent one objectively in there, as long as you can pick the best one out of the batch, that's how you get up out of the hole. That's how you get out of the mud.
Yeah.
And then if you know what
Gotta dig.
excellent
And
is,
then while you're doing it,
and the reason that works is because you are judging the 4 prompts that you got on the basis of a definition of excellent. You say, according to that standard, this one is the best one of the four, and I can tell you how excellent it is. And I can also tell you what part of it is not excellent. It can still be the best of the four. It might be excellent, but I also know what excellence looks like. So we want to build in two pieces of judgment. One of it is to understand the standard of judgment and then use tactical judgment to see which one is best and then make that better. That's another way of saying that is imagine the session started and your four prepared targets are working and you say, well, of my four targets for what I want to trade, this one is the worst, second worst, third, whatever. Here's the rank order of them. Now, is it also good enough? Is the best one good enough to trade? It might not be, but at least I know which one is best. And now I can watch those four in relation to each other. And also, where are they on the excellence scale? When does it cross the line to be good enough to trade? Oh, when all the criteria are met. That's why. How do you know? Well, because I have a gauge. Yeah, is your gauge calibrated? Yeah. Well, when was the last time it was calibrated? Oh, constantly. Okay. You were free to move about the cabin. All right. That's what I wanted to say. I'm sorry for the interruption. I'm sorry, but
No,
not
all good, all
sorry.
good. And don't be. Um, so yeah, this is something I'm working on. And then the fourth thing that I'm working on, and this has actually been quite challenging.
I like that you have the
It's
A and the C at the plus and minus two, because
yeah,
now you have a full standard deviation on either side. And the normal game, the B game, is 0 plus or minus one. What I would
yeah.
do, I would shade that so you can see that a B game, what that is actually showing is that the boundary between the C game and the B game is at minus one sigma. Did you intentionally draw it that way?
Oh no, I got this. I got this the way it is.
Yeah. So now
I
I
just
want you to
started
look
working on it.
carefully. Look
Yeah,
at look
this
at
is from the
Z
other.
minus one and Z plus one.
Yeah,
Z minus one
yeah,
is the boundary
yeah,
between C and B. The zero state in your B game
yeah.
is a solid B, and then it gets a little bit better, but at Z plus
Oh,
one,
yeah,
that's the boundary. That's where the A game begins at Z plus one.
yeah,
And you are center of mass rock
yeah.
solid on A and C when you're at two sigma. And you can get better,
Mm-hmm.
but two sigma is the center point of A, and the boundary between A and B is
Yeah,
plus one, and the boundary between B and C is minus one. So I would suggest that you color
yeah.
code that and then put a little
Okay.
mark where you are. Use that as your
Yeah,
daily gauge, and then
yeah,
then
yeah.
calibrate your feeling. Just make that your final your closure statement for each day is make a mark how you feel you did. What's your and now you're acting as an art critic. You're acting as your own master craftsman, judging the um, artistic quality of your work that day as an artist. How satisfied am I? That's a feeling
Mm,
associated with art. That's a word that begins with E, AE. It's the aesthetic judgment.
yeah,
How does it feel? Because how you feel about it is the central question for long-term stability. Your long-term commitment to your marriage, to your life, to your children, to your profession, to your trading practice, how you feel about yourself is your own measure of self satisfaction. That's an aesthetic judgment, how I feel about it, because in my heart, I think with my feelings. What my heart does is look at all the thinking that my head did and how do I feel about the quality of that? That's what you carry with you because your thoughts come and go. Your thoughts get better
Yeah,
or worse. Your thoughts get affected by the weather.
true.
Your heart does not vary because your heart is connected to your values and identity and purpose. And it's connected to all the work that all your ancestors did to put you in the
Mm,
current position, for which we're grateful. So how
yeah.
you feel, how you feel about what you've been doing professionally is a measure of your emotional bank account. It's your emotional resilience. It's your sense of confidence and correctness and persistence. It's the difference between blind engagement, stubbornness, and a justified feeling about yourself and your progress. And I would check in with that at the end of the day and make that mark. How did I do today? And then over time, do the comparison of how you're actually doing with how you feel at the end of the day. And I'm not here to say that you're always going to feel the right way, but that should be informed by how you statistically did. You want to see I am going to believe that my hypothesis is that the feeling causes the thinking. That
Yes.
when you feel properly about how you're doing, that will make it easier for you to do the things you want to do because
Yes.
there's no noise. It's that internal quiet hum of confidence that comes from a craftsman that says, you know what? That's really a good piece of art. I mean, Picasso or Dali, when they scribbled that shit on the napkin, that was a Picasso. And he looked at that and said, what I just did, that's a Picasso, and I want to be proud of it, properly appreciative,
Yeah.
because when you're using the talent that you've been given, you recognize that you've been given a talent and that you did something with it, and that's what you did with it is who you are. And where you calibrate that on that scale, boy, that's really a good diagram. Gee whiz.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is based on, he has a concept called the inchworm, which
Yeah.
is you're trying to improve your C game,
Yeah.
turn the D into your C game, and then continuously kind of,
Yeah.
you're constantly
Now,
pushing to
the
the
other
right.
thing that looks like, now, if I
Hmm.
put the Golden Bridge overlay on that, the 5 quadrants,
Yeah.
quadrant one, the shadow, quadrant two,
Yeah.
the shadow energy is used to prepare properly. The height of the B game is the keystone, your average day. That's quadrant three, just doing the work, grinding it out every day. Quadrant four is the best 10% of your B game rising to excellence. And then excellence, quadrant five, is fully excellent and bringing back that awareness and wisdom all the way back to the C game to contribute back to the guy that's holding up the pyramid, the
Yeah.
foundational guy. So that also works as a picture of the bridge over the Crocodile River. So I would color
Yeah.
code the B game as blue because that's the color of water.
Yeah.
And and then the A game I'd probably use whatever color you like. Maybe it's gold or silver.
Yeah.
For me, it would be silver because I think gold leads you to perdition. I'm a silver guy myself. And then
Yeah.
the C game, I think I would have the color would be red ish. I think I would go like
Yeah.
red, blue, silver, something like that. But that's my color codes.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's I like having things color coded. It's easier on my eyes when I'm working with
Yeah,
different diagrams and all of that.
yeah.
Definitely look into it. Um, so there are actually two pieces that I wanted to speak about.
Yep.
One of them it comes down to second and third entries, but mostly second entries, right? So
Yeah.
I think part of the reason I mean, I made money on the 2nd of March, but there was a lot of like there was an internal battle. I think I emailed you about one of the days where I had these five different options.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I need to work on my second positions
A
where
hundred
I am.
percent. Here's why. Here's why. Uh, when I was talking with Eric Moe,
Hmm.
he was designing mechanical rules that would add up to 10 lots. He would start with one lot and then it
Yeah.
kept going. So he had a second lot, a third lot, a fourth lot. And what I told him was, look, you got to take entries 4 through 10 and make sure all of that money is at work by the third lot, by the second, I'm sorry, the second edition. So
Hmm.
instead of going 10 entries of 1 1 1 1 1 1 1, it should be 4 3 3.
Yeah.
I'm also going to say that if I were to collapse the third one into the second one, if the statistics of your payoff of your second entry is better than the expectancy of the first entry, that should all it should all be on the second one. It should be 2 then 3
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
because you don't always get a second entry, but when you do, it's materially better. Now, here's what I will say. I'm still persuaded that the third entry needs to be there because that's the one when it breaks out of the 2R battle drill and the next higher time frame is going, you actually have a
Mm.
second system and that thing is piling on.
Yeah.
You're using swing trade money to pile on that thing. So I could almost go with a 2 3 5
Okay.
because the 5 lots is what the initial entry on a swing trade looks like.
Yeah.
And if we think of the third entry as confirmation of that's like the core position on the next higher time frame, you know,
Mm.
like if that might have been a kata 2. If I'm trading on the 10 minute and then the 30 minute or the hour chart shows an emerging dragon and no resistance overhead, then that ought to be as large as the first and
Oh,
second
totally.
entry. You see what I mean?
Yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely. If you're trading like a 30-minute pattern on the 10-minute chart, you just go as big as your risk can
Right.
tolerate.
So
And then fight on.
so what I'm open to is on the 10-minute chart, I might have the initial entry and then the second position gets me up to full size to get up to 2R. And then it breaks up through 2R on the 10-minute chart. I
Hmm.
know that on the 30-minute chart, that looks like the start of the 30-minute move.
Yeah,
So I'll make my entry on the 30-minute. My third entry is now the first entry on the 30-minute chart, if I can say it
yeah.
that way. So that could almost be, if I think of that in terms of position size, that could be 2 3 5. And then guess how big the second entry on the 30-minute chart is? Zero, because
Yeah.
you only have a certain amount of time left in the day, or it's another 5.
Hmm. Hmm.
So 2 3 5 5,
Yeah.
because you'll get a lot of initial entries on the 10-minute. size 2.
Yeah.
I have a confirmed 10-minute trade going, so I'll put 3 on it. And then it works and it breaks through and it's running on the 10. Off it goes. I shift to the 30. That thing is now breaking out on the 30. 5. Now it does a
Yeah.
kata 2 and keeps going. Another 5. Now I got 15 lots. And I started with 2 on the first SSC.
Yeah.
Those numbers will open a whole new world of whoop ass for you. That's a whole new world of, and it's all our capture,
Yeah.
but it's informing position sizing for dollar capture.
Yes.
I
Yes.
I cannot tell you how important that last 3 minutes speech was. In December, when we look back, we may think that that was the most important thing that we've said this year. That's how
I
important.
mean,
That's how important that is.
when I listen to interviews and podcasts with people who come across as very successful traders and fund managers, um, what you just said right there,
Yeah,
figuring out a way
yeah. How to
to
scale?
use dollar capture as a guide of dollar
Yeah,
at risk
yeah.
is
If they don't say that, then they don't know what they're talking about.
I mean that's 101 for me. Like if
Yeah,
like you can't risk real money in the market until you have some kind of filtering system that tells you go big, go small.
right.
Otherwise you're gonna blow your
That's right.
head off.
Yep. And guys
Um
are trying to be correct on entry 1. Entry 1 is ante. That's skin in the game.
yeah.
The second entry is you know, the the whatever it is, the river or what after the what do they show 3 cards after they give you 2 down? The next one I think is 3. Is that the river or something? I don't know. How
No.
correctly named is that?
Yeah. Um
Yeah, keep going, man. You got it.
Um, so yeah, I'm kind of working on my second entries, kind of timing them slightly better. And what I'm leaning towards is on the long side. I'll just wait for a 3 minute ED,
Right. Oh, here's
somewhere
what you
between
need to
half
do
an hour.
now. Here's the next
Yeah.
control chart. You need an R capture curve for entry 1. You need a
Hmm.
second R capture curve for entry 2
Yeah.
and entry 3.
Yeah.
So you now need to see what the win rate and payoff is for entry 2 and then coin flip and payoff for entry 3.
Yeah.
That will now tell you in the same way that you're using R capture of the overall system to design
Yeah.
position size, you're now going to use R capture of the individual 3 entries to govern how much relative capital to put on those signals.
Mm.
I believe the default position right now should be 433.
Yeah.
3 months from now, I wouldn't be surprised if it was 235.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that marker down on right now to see. That's my, if I were to be a prediction man, that's what I would be.
What I'm noticing
That's it.
is because of the way I'm trading, even my expectancy curves do not really. I mean, they do tell me when shit's going, when things are not going, when they're not working well, and it's time for me
Yeah.
to switch to one lot.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But then
The
I
last
think
3
the
and
last
4.
analysis I did, yeah, the last analysis I did in February, like I did at the end of February, told me that my win rates have changed so much that I will need to revisit my expectancies again. As
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. So now
uh,
we're gonna try to attribute that
yeah,
to
those lines will
the
change basically.
individual
But
entries. Yeah.
yeah,
Because you need to
the
see
other,
where the performance is coming from.
yeah,
And here's what I think.
the other
I
thing that
think entry number,
Mhm.
imagine a world in which entry 1 was 50-50 that paid 2 to 1. And
Yeah,
imagine that for every 5 entry ones, you get 2 entry twos. And entry 2 is a 4-to-1 coin flip that pays 1-to-1. And we just saw an example of that with Chi Weng Chong.
Yeah.
So what that should tell you is the size of his daily risk should reflect a win rate of 4-to-1 and a payoff of 1-to-1. And then when he expresses that into individual trades, it should be informed by 50-50 that pays 2-to-1. That's why if it turns out that the second entry is doing the Lord's work, that should be larger than the first entry. And that's
Yeah.
where I say instead of 4-3-3, instead of 4 and 3, that should be 2 and 3. So that the second
Now, it would be
entry,
really,
you see what I mean?
yeah, it would be really interesting to measure the performance of each position in, and also within the position sizing, the regime that they're in. So, for
Yes.
instance,
Yeah.
entry two perform in neutral? How does entry two perform in
Yeah.
cold? How does entry two
Well,
perform in hot?
100%. You're reading my mind because when the market is directional and expanding, the second entries are the ones that really go.
Yeah.
If it's a choppy market, the second entries, you don't often get them, and then they don't follow through.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, you should be larger on the first position.
Yeah.
That's where you should be 3
Yeah.
and 2. When the markets are directional with expanding intraday range, how do you measure that? Oh, what's the size of the average range of the last 30 days? So when that is expanding, you should be at 2 and 3. And
Mm-hmm.
if you go from 3 and 2 to 2 and 3, you can trade more, get more starts because you're only risking 2.
Yeah.
And then you follow
Yeah.
through on the ones that win with a 3. But if you're
Yeah.
getting paid by the first position, you need the first position to be a 3 and then venture less on the second position. Anyway,
Yeah,
keep going.
that's the
Yeah.
argument. That's the discussion we had last year when
Yeah.
volatility kind of dumped, right? And we had
Yeah.
to scale out rather than,
It's a bird in the hand versus 2 in the bush. And
yeah.
that is, have I cleared resistance and now it's free? You hear me all the time say, "Hey, that position is free and clear.
Mm-hmm.
All in. Let's go." Because I
Yeah.
protected my core capital. Free and clear.
Yeah.
Free range chicken. It's running wild. That's what we
Yeah.
want. Melt up.
So yeah, so the last thing I'm kind of working on is something called the mind movie because I
Yeah.
know where I want to get to.
Yeah.
I can imagine I can imagine the end state, the mansion, the house, the yacht, the cars,
Yep.
the
Yep.
watches, everything, right?
Well,
Um,
that's just the destination.
yeah, but then how do we get there, right? This is
Right.
something I've
That's
never been able to imagine.
what you got to imagine is that guy.
Yeah.
The different ways that I'm going to get to that. Now, in neurolinguistic programming, that's called future pacing. And what you
Yes.
do is you just fast forward. How does it feel to be the master craftsman? And then bring that feeling back into what you're doing with confidence so that every time you perform a behavior like a master craftsman, you get to enjoy the feeling of master craftsmanship for that moment. You're not a master craftsman yet, but you know what it feels like to start feeling that. I will tell you, I had that conversation with my best player 15 years ago on the sideline in soccer. She had made a play, a 2 second, 3 second was the duration, when she uh, received the ball from their goalie out of the air, intercepted the pass in the air, controlled it to her feet, put a perfect move on the other player to get around her, got to the open space, and made a perfect cross to the spot where our striker either scored or didn't score. It didn't matter.
Mm.
But for that 2 to 3 second moment, there's not a player on the planet that could have done it any better than what she did. I said it was the purest soccer play I ever saw with the ball.
Mm.
And I told her later, I said, we're going to make you make 500 plays in every game. Once in a while, you do it as well as anybody on the planet could have possibly done it. Messi himself could not have made that play any better than you played it. Messi would have been proud to have made the play that you made. Remember that when we're going through practice and it's not working and it's not, this was wrong and that wasn't, or they didn't, the defender made their best play, so we didn't get to make it. What you got to remember that inside you is that moment, and
Mm-hmm.
and I saw it, and everything we've been working on for the last 10 years was to be able to see that when it happens and to know what that means. Um, and that's why I coach youth soccer. But there comes those little rewards.
Yeah.
That's and oh, by the way, if you see it and feel it, what anybody else says doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Because what you saw and what you feel and you put into words and you accept that little gift is everything. Nothing else even needs to be said. That's why, artists at the top of their game are doing the work for the work and not for the Oscar or for the Emmy, whatever. And the actors that I have the most profound respect for are the ones who are genuinely happy at the successes and the performance of others, because they look at that and they say, wow, that was just so good that you have inspired me to do that. And if you can see that in the work of others, no matter where they are on the skill map, is you learn to see that in every other person, wherever they are and whatever they're doing. If they have an intention and they made a plan and they put it into practice, I don't care what the result was, because that was the piece I was looking for. The intention and the effort was everything. Now, if I see intention but no effort, that's what we got to work on. We got to work on the
Yeah.
effort.
Yeah.
If I see the effort without the intention, it's like you're just going through the motions and you don't understand what you're doing or why you're doing it. But if I see intention and effort, oh my gosh, this gets you to the, then you, this is what I have to say this. This is what Sundeep is working on. He has this coded now with an AI agent that's going to do the following things. And I want you to understand the mindset and figure out how you're going to do it. Um, this is what he's done. We call it the quadrants.
Do you want to share something? Should I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's stop sharing.
Whoops. Oh, you stopped sharing. I was drawing on your chart.
Oh, sorry. I can share again. Let me
Yeah,
share again.
reshare because there's more you got to say.
Okay.
It's like, man, where did the thing go? My
Here,
canvas, my canvas
a blank
stuff there.
screen.
Yeah. Let's see, annotate. No, just leave it. That's where it is. Fine. There's enough room.
Okay.
It's important that the other stuff is on there for inspiration, right?
Oh.
So here's what Sundeep does. He says, "There's this line, and there's this line. Uh, this is aligned, and this is not aligned. And this is winning trade, losing trade. So he has a rule set, and he takes the trade, each individual trade, and runs it through the rule set and says, and categorizes it into 4 categories. This is where I traded according to my rules or my alignment, whatever. It started off with just aligning with the rules. It said, this is where I've traded in alignment and I won. And this is where I was aligned, but I lost. This is where I was not aligned, but I won. This is where I was not aligned and I lost. So he put all his rule sets in and studied his trades. And here's what he's got. His on this line, his win rate is 2 to 1. So 65%, 66% win rate, and the payoff is 3 to 1. On the losing side, the payoff, well, so the losing rate is 30%, and his loss is -1. On the not aligned, his win rate is 33% and his losing rate is 67%. And the payoff is 2 to 1. The wrong way.
Yeah.
Your monkey mind will say, every time, it'll remember all the times I didn't follow my rules and I won. It loves this. Because now the monkey says, I'm so much smarter than you and your rules. And then you say, yeah, not so fast. Right? Now, here's the next thing that he does. This is going to just blow you away. He's got this coded where there are 500 indicators in TC 2000. And he can take a look at the performance. He can take his trade and say, if he says, I have this trade set of rules using my chosen indicators, and my indicators are giving me this, but I can put the other 500 indicators on there and look at the same time of the trade and say, which of those 500 indicators was a better predictor of the winning trade? What should I be aligned with and get better? So he can show that as a heat map now.
Wow.
It
Impressive.
is, well, so here's what you can now do. You can take a set of trades that you took, all the trades, and you say, all right, what's the better set of rules to have traded those? Here's some things that it turns out. RL30 slope and 30 period Z score. And when you are at -2 or +2, you should better pay attention because it looks like this. That when it breaks here, you're now aligned with the RL30 until it gets so, instead of going this way, it starts doing that. And now you're into your SSC and COTA 2s all the way up. But then when you see the maximum favorable excursion and it's already after plus Z2, dude, keep 70%.
Yeah.
When you put that, when you look at his stats on the way he's trading now, are really good. They're in alignment with what you guys are doing. but he can now show that as that heat map. And it's allowing him to simplify his dashboard so that he has just the most important indicators on his execution dashboard.
Yeah.
So he can still prepare correctly, but then what he needs is the dashboard of most important decision points or decision indicators. Like at some point, what you're talking about is the tachometer.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is I watch that Nürburgring all the time on YouTube. That's about a
Yeah.
6-minute video. And you can watch that guy, Timo, when he goes around that track. There are times, it's the RPM and the gear. And the RPM is the R multiple. That's your expectancy,
Mm-hmm.
and that's your money.
Yeah.
What gear am I in? What's my RPMs, and where am I on the track? On that back slope, he was showing that they had him on the I think I can't remember if it's Timo, but the guy who has the fastest, it's not Timo, but the guy who has the fastest time of any car on that is a special purpose Porsche 919.
Yeah.
He's hitting 370 kilometers on the back straightaway. And that's the place on Nürburgring for where you can stand on the accelerator, maximum weight on the accelerator in your best gear, and that thing will just go for about 45 seconds. Just flat out everything you got. And you're watching the tachometer, and that thing it's in the red.
Yeah. Heating.
And if you were looking at another thing, you'd be looking at the engine heat. How
Mm.
long can I keep it in the red? And you watch that engine heat. That's like a second derivative. It's like a tachometer of heat.
Yeah.
Instead of tachometer of RPM, it's the ability to cool it and still perform within the envelope. There's an engineering safety margin after the red line, which is a function of engine heat, which is a function of uh, what are your materials in the piston and the cylinder and the engine head before that thing just seizes. Everything is maintenance, man. Everything is mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wanted you to see that quadrant is
That
the
quantum. Yeah.
secret
Yeah.
sauce.
I can implement the quadrant immediately. I'll need to look at how he's doing it and then try to replicate it on my
Yep.
end with my
Yep.
resources.
Yeah.
Because
What
his
you're doing is
was
kind of the same
similar.
thing. Is now as we think about the master craftsman, what you're working on is to say, I've got a good enough set of rules, and I have the discipline and procedures in place to follow them. And in fact,
Mm-hmm.
you've designed, we get to the point where we've designed systems that can only be traded correctly. It won't
Yeah.
even let you trade unaligned at production level. You can still
Mm-hmm.
trade it in the R&D shop, but when things are in production, dude, not
Yeah. You
looking
gotta
for a
go.
lot of discretion in that. If you're gonna, here's what I would say: if you're trading a production system and you feel like you want to override that system, go ahead, but trade it at 1/5 of the size and call it R&D. Just
Yeah.
move to the prototype shop. Get
Yeah.
out of the production shop because we got work to do over here. We're producing
Mhm.
parts that are going into vehicles. We're making brake systems that go into family cars that are going to be bought tomorrow. In fact, they already bought it and we're delivering that car tomorrow. So when you want to vary from your system, go over into the prototype shop, into R&D, and go have fun with it. You know what I mean? If it's that
Where
good, if it's that good, yeah. All right, back to you. Sorry.
where did that generation go? I mean, I'm trading wise, I'm done, right? But
Yeah.
just like where did that? Because growing up, American products, American production was,
Yeah,
quality was
yeah,
prime. I mean,
yeah,
I went to study in the States because the States was the hub, right?
right. Well, here's what you watch. I want you to watch
Where did it all go?
Japan. I want you to go look at, I want you to, and China. They get it.
Yeah,
I want you to go, oh, actually, Vietnam and Singapore. If you take a look at their electric vehicle, the Vietnamese car, and I think there's one in Singapore. The one in Singapore may just have been funding the Vietnam model, but the Vietnamese electronic car, it has all of the insights from China's mass production, but it brings the Vietnamese aesthetic and the,
yeah.
yeah. Now, what I want you to do is there's a YouTube channel on, it's named Japanese Food Craftsman. The food vendors where they show them going through the process and making all that, that's fun. But they also have a special section on there that shows the Japanese craftsmen making the cooking knives. And it's in a tiny little machine shop on the first floor of their house. There's a there's a family that's about seventh generation knife maker, and I'm gonna miss the name is something like Hirakono or Hatsumoto or something like that. I get it wrong. But they're the only one that's allowed to produce a true Hatsumoto knife. And they've been making it for 150 years. And the way they make it is in a little room as big as your office. And the guy that's making it is 91 years old. And his son and his grandson and his great grandson are also working in the shop. But that 91-year-old guy looks like he's 50. And he makes 100 knives a day. And they sell them for $35. And I have one. And I watched the video of him making the goddamn knife. And I said, I got to buy that no matter what the cost, as long as that cost is less than $100. And I
Yeah.
went there and said, $35. Oh, I can buy that. So I use that to sharpen my pencils at work when I draw my sketches on 5x8 cards and take notes. I'm using a wooden pencil made in Japan. It's sharpened by a knife made in Japan as a craft because it's craftsmanship.
Yeah.
And I say to myself, I hope whatever I draw with this pencil is worthy of the knife that sharpened it and the pencil that's being sharpened. And I try to remember that. So when I think about I say all of that simply to say future pacing. Guys are imagining that future where they see themselves like over your shoulder in the sailboat or
Hmm.
in the car. They
Yeah.
should be looking at what it feels like to be the craftsman at the peak of his performance. What does it
Yeah.
feel like to be that craftsman? Not what does it feel like after you're retired and you're enjoying the money. The thing you should be focusing on is what does it feel like to be trading error free with the best set of rules that you could make? Knowing that when you study that, you're going to be working to improve your performance and improve your rules. That's an infinite regression. It's an asymptotic feeling of release of no resistance overhead. That's like a
Yeah.
trade that went past 2R and the next higher time frame is working. Huh,
Yeah.
that's quadrant 5 or quint. It's not a quadrant, it's the fifth category. Level 5 is when you're just free and clear and running and you're enjoying the feeling. That's the
Hmm.
energy. I need you to bring that energy back to the guy that's working in the shadow. That's where the hard work is being done. That guy's
Yeah.
shoveling coal. You're up there living the high life. Hey, the guy's shoveling coal could use a little support here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to spend 20% of your time in the coal mine, bringing the light. and the reward to that guy
Yeah.
because he's doing all the heavy lifting.
So when
And
I
he needs
remember,
to feel
yeah,
that because he's a coal miner, but he's working as a craftsman in his coal mining. And he may not feel that way, but you need to help him see and feel what it means to be a craftsman. Pride in the work. Here's what I see. There's a picture I have in somewhere that shows Welsh coal miners that just came out of the mines
yeah,
in the 1920s, and they are just covered with coal soot, but they're making eye contact with you. Those men are proud craftsmen living their life for their families. And you don't want to be on the wrong side of that. That's my Welsh
yeah.
heritage, those guys. I'm so not worthy of them. I'm trying to get better, but man, oh man, they set a pretty high bar. I'll send
Yeah.
you afterwards. I'll send you that picture. Go ahead, back to you.
Yeah, I'm done. As I said, I'm done with my trading thing. But it's just one thought came to mind was, like when I was a climbing fanatic, as the Spanish would describe it.
Yeah,
Um, and I remember, like, I still have this memory very like it's just a feeling that I had, like when I was climbing, like routes that I considered at the time to be really hard for myself, right?
yeah,
I whether it's a route that I've climbed before or a route that I've never climbed before, or I would always have a sense of kind of visualizing the moves, the next 3 or 4 moves that I'd have to make in
yeah,
order to get to the top.
yep,
Um, and I think until recently, that visualization of how am I going to build my next step forward? When am I going to start engaging investors? What kind of investors am I going to engage? Am I going to speak to funds, private, And I
yeah.
think this is something that I'm starting to work on now. It kind of fits into the psychological work, but it's more of a planning of like, okay, so you want to get to, a $50 million fund by year X.
Yep.
What are the steps that you're going to have to take to
Hey, I
get there?
want you to
Now, there are
want you to
some aspects that I can give you on.
eliminate the year X.
Yeah,
Just if you do the right things, that'll happen.
yeah,
Um, if you put a time frame on it, some would say, without a time frame, you can't get realistic and you can't put yourself on the clock. I would also say that's also a mindset that will lead to danger. Is that if you have your system and it's continually improving,
that's what I'm scared of.
that number will go up if you pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah,
So that would be my and you can and I can go back and if I had to, I could go back and find in your testimony as a trader exactly that feeling when you're trying to be in a hurry because there was I'm going to say arbitrary timeline that was made, and then if I'm not there yet, it makes me want to hurry up. Well, when you don't know what you're doing, hurrying up that might work, but think which quadrant you're in. You're not aligned with anything,
yeah, yeah,
and then the danger of that is, what if you happen to be lucky and you think that was the system? Oops, you know what I
yeah,
mean? That's
yeah.
the one I worry about.
Or you have it's gone.
You know. Yeah, let me show you something here I found. All right, what else you got? Anything? Are you good?
No, yeah, I'm done.
Unfortunately, this is just a thumbnail.
If you ever need, I can provide a lot of examples of trading without the system and what it leads to. Yeah.
Hey, we all have. You know, if your rules are bad enough, then that's your system. Uh, here was the picture I wanted to show you.
Here, shall I stop sharing?
Yeah. Let's see.
Water.
Yeah, the high quality version of this picture is much better. I just want to give you a feel for that. Yeah, that's Welsh coal miners right there, just coming out of the mine. Those are strong, proud men with families, and you don't want to be on the wrong side of
Yeah.
that. They're not feeling sorry for themselves. They are embracing their life and doing their best all the time. They work hard and they play hard. They got the right values, but that's what hard work looks like. So I never forget that. That's where I come from on my dad's side of the family. Yeah. So anyway, that's I feel like we're in a pretty good place here. I have us at 9:30.
Yeah.
So it's last call for alcohol here. How we doing?
Yeah.
So
I think
play with
good.
that new AI.
Just to confirm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to confirm. So on Monday, the market's going to open it 1 hour earlier than previously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then,
It's on
okay.
yeah, I have it right now. It is 9:35 Central Standard.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
So
So
that's 8:30 New York, which means 1 hour earlier.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's 7:30
10:35
New York.
Eastern. Yeah.
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 Okay. Cool.
Yeah. In fact,
Cool.
exact 24 hours minus 5 minutes, the market will open. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fellas,
Cool.
take good care. Chi Wing, thanks for hanging in there with us. I think
See
there
you
was
guys
a
then.
lot of gold in the mine today.
Yeah. Yeah. It was.
Play with that AI and we'll just keep making it better.
We'll do.
All right, take care, guys.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. All right.